luckily, we've cushioned some time in to allow for networking and conversations and whatnot, which is really why we're here, is to talk with each other and maybe even more importantly, hear each other. My name is Bill Nichols. I'm the director of the Center for Urban Language Teaching and Research, the Title VI Language Resource Center here at Georgia State. I'm also chair of the Department of World Languages and Cultures at Georgia State in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I've also served on the executive committee for the ADFO, which is the Association for Departments of Foreign Languages. I was the 2017 president of that organization, which is within the Modern Language Association. We're going to have a couple of speakers to offer welcome comments here from GSU, but I did want to bring your attention quickly to the booklet that is in front of you at your table, and mention a couple of things about that. As opposed to my policy in class, you are completely free to be on your cell phones as long as you are tweeting and posting to social media about this event. And I will be roaming around to make sure that you are doing your homework. There's social media hashtags and our accounts on the table setting in the middle of the table and in the booklet itself. I was talking with Seema Jain, our keynote speaker. The Marriott hashtag, I think, is Marriott INTL, Marriott International, so feel free to tie that hashtag in. There's also in the booklet a list of participating organizations that are here today, and you'll see a wide array of business, nonprofits, government, policymakers, education, and as I was talking with some of you, this is a very unique kind of event. You don't see this kind of event at other Title VI centers. You don't see this kind of event at other universities. There's something special about Georgia State. There's something special about Atlanta, where the people and the place and the timing are right to have these conversations and this kind of an event here. There's also the event agenda that I alluded to that we're behind on, which is not a problem. There's also the bios for the speakers. There's a very well-crafted welcome from the culture director. So I won't be reading bios. It's in the booklet. You're free to look through the booklet as we're talking and presenting and having lunch. One thing I did want to direct your attention to within the booklet is there's information about an attendee toolkit. One of the things that we've been doing a lot of work on recently is developing toolkits for the various kinds of events that we organize that help kind of frame and structure the interaction, the experience for the attendee or the exhibitor or the presenter. So it's all on our website. You'll find a link there to the attendee toolkit. And you'll recall that part of the event registration included, it was a required question that you had to answer to be able to come here today, which was why, it was a very simple question: why are languages, cultures, and diversity important to you? So we have accumulated those responses into a document that is a booklet that will be available on our website that you'll have access to see what the other organizations that are attending today said in response to that question. And it's something that you could take back to your organization and share with other people. It's something that teachers could use to share with students, with parents, with principals about the relevance and the importance of the study of language and culture to careers, to fostering collaborations, to just making our students better global citizens. There's another piece that will be online that is a survey, a post-event survey. Our post-event survey is slightly unique because we will incorporate some other questions that expand on that basic question that was part of the registration for this event. It's a survey about global competencies and some very pointed questions about that and the relevance to your organization, your discipline, your field of study, or your career field. And it's something that I'll talk about in a little bit that we want to build into a kind of repository of profiles from different types of organizations that you could access. And again, say a teacher could point, a student who says, why would I study languages and cultures? And you say, well, don't take it from me. Let's see what UPS or Peace Corps or whoever has to say about it. And these would be available as kind of one-page PDFs. Now, the incentive to filling out that survey is that you will then gain access to all of the event photos that are being taken by our illustrious photographer, Steve Thaxton, who, those of you who have been here before know Steve is crazy, that he will be performing an acrobatic act after lunch, after the event, where he balances himself and takes a group photo out in the foyer. We're also going to be creating a kind of photo booth with the drop-down banner, Culture's drop-down banner, so Steve will be taking photos of anybody who would like a photo, and then you would have access to that only after you've completed the survey. Lastly, there's information in the booklet about resources that are available through Culture, infographics, some of which are on the table out there. And in the booklet is a one-sheet impact statement about the impact of culture. We've only been in existence since fall of 2014, and I can still remember when we were funded, and I met with Trish, who is here, and I said, oh my God, we have to go to ACTFL now and in a month, and yay, we got this, and it's all of a sudden dawned on me like, holy cow, we have a lot of work to do. But it's been a great 4 years, and now we're applying for renewal of funding, and I'll be talking more about that in a few minutes. There's also information about World Languages Day that I hope all of you will come to, either as exhibitors or attendees, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Before I go any farther and talk more about culture, I would like to welcome John Augusto and Wolfgang Schlor, who will give a few comments welcoming you to Georgia State. But first is John Augusto.
Thank you, Bill, for the warm Southern introduction. So one of the things that they teach you at Dean School, there is an actual Dean School, is never talk too long if you're talking right before lunch. So my comments will be brief and to the point, hopefully. So on behalf of Dr. Sarah Rosen, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, I would like to echo Dr. Nichols' welcome to Georgia State University. As the largest college on the Atlanta campus, the College of Arts and Sciences is home to over 12,000 students, 550 faculty, and 300 staff members. We offer more than 70 undergraduate and graduate degree programs in the liberal arts and sciences across the humanities, the social sciences, the behavioral sciences, the natural and computational sciences. I like to call ourselves the 800-pound gorilla. The broad spectrum of programs we offer is matched only by the remarkable diversity of our student body. Our students represent virtually all backgrounds, including race, ethnicity, religion, age, social economic status, and country of origin. By stepping into the classroom and participating in the many, many campus activities, our students are exposed to the wealth of diversity that our student body brings. Our location in the heart of downtown Atlanta allows faculty and students to test their theories and gain practical experience by working with companies, nonprofits, government agencies, and diverse communities in the 9th largest city here in the United States. The College of Arts and Sciences has implemented a bold strategic plan that will maximize the academic and career success of our undergraduates, strengthen and grow our professional and graduate programs, expand the profile and the impact of our research, address the complex challenges that our cities face, and last and certainly not least, increase global research and learning experience. At the heart of our strategic plan is the Center for Urban Language Teaching and Research. The center's mission to bring together business leaders, nonprofit organizations, government, legislative agencies, and education administrators to collaborate and focus on the promotion of language study and global skills for students as lifelong learners. The center's mission aligns with the College of Arts and Sciences strategic plan, and as a recent transplant to Atlanta and the great state of Georgia, it's been my opportunity and pleasure to work with Dr. Nichols and the Georgia faculty to support the fulfillment of the center's mission. I'm especially excited about helping GSU students fulfill their career potential. Research tells us that college students who spent multiple semesters studying language will be successful in their career aspirations. Now, I mentioned that I'm a Georgia transplant. I spent, before I came to Georgia State on February 1st, I spent 22 years at the University of Kansas. I'm a Kansas native, and so when I got a phone call from Dean Rosen, she said, I want you to come to Atlanta and meet some great people. And I want you to think about a great opportunity for you to come to Georgia State. And so I said, yeah, I had known Dean Rosen for a number of years. This is my third time working for Dean Rosen. And so I kind of knew she was selling me something, but I came down to find out for sure. So I came down and I started talking to people. And I come from a university that takes great pride in its global reach. And I thought, okay, we're good, but let's see how good Georgia State is. Georgia State is as good, if not better. You cannot recreate this type of environment where you're in a modern university, students are getting a 21st century education, and we're going to take that education and we're going to make sure they fulfill their career promise. So I'm excited to be here today, and I hope you are too. In order to help us, though, we need your assistance. Your partnership with the center and across the College of Arts and Sciences will help us fulfill our plan in the college and with the center. So please reach out to myself or Dr. Nichols and let us know how we can strengthen the partnerships. Please enjoy today's program, and thanks again for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much, John. Wolfgang Schlor is the Associate Provost for International Initiatives here at Georgia State, and will offer a few comments as well.
Thank you, Bill. And it's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Office of International Initiatives and Georgia State University to this fourth annual Global Languages Leadership Meeting. This is the second time I'm attending this meeting, and continue to be so impressed by the attendance and the many sectors represented here. Now, I also am a fairly recent transplant here, not as recent as John, but one of the main reasons I joined was that this university has really made a strong and visible commitment to internationalization. 1/5 of the university's strategic plan is directly focused on globalizing the university, and international aspects are embedded in almost all other parts of the plan, and as we just heard, of our colleges as well. Now, there are many factors that contribute to a globalized campus, but the teaching and learning of world languages must be an essential component of any strategy to strengthen global competency and engagement, certainly when it comes to students. The ability to communicate in another language gives students a competitive edge in the job market, especially in a global city such as Atlanta. And the incredible international diversity we have in our city here both contributes to and calls for proficiency in world languages. So we all agree that global languages are important and that we need more, not fewer students who learn them. But we also know that Georgia State, or even all of higher education, cannot address this issue by itself. Increasing participation in language learning must begin much earlier than college and really requires input from everyone. Universities do have an important role to play in this area as well, and this is why the work of the Center for Urban Language Teaching and Research is so critical. Culture is an asset for Greater Atlanta, for the region, and also at the national level, and it brings the resources of our university to students, educators, and employers. All of the work that culture does will ultimately result in more students coming into college with the interest and the wherewithal to gain true language proficiency, which I believe is a cornerstone of global competency. And it's those students who will enable businesses in Atlanta and elsewhere in the United States to succeed in the global marketplace. So I want to applaud Culture, Bill and his staff and faculty, and all of you here for your commitment to this important task. Thank you.
So I am fully aware that all that now stands between you and amazing lunch is me. So I will have just some really brief comments to give you an overview of the past 4 years of culture, the things that we've done, and our vision for the next 4 years. But in the culture team, we consider ourselves eternal optimists. So we have automatically assumed that this event today will be a success and have begun planning for next year's event. We have a speaker and a date, so you are feel free to put it on your calendar. We have our speaker will be Tim Mahoney, who is the Global Marketing Officer for Chevrolet and GM. And he is really excited about coming to Atlanta and talking next year. Now, this event today, well, first let me introduce the members of the culture team. I mentioned Trish, who is the Associate Director for Culture. David, who is standing back there, is the Tech Coordinator, the tireless Tech Coordinator who has pulled together the presentation that you will enjoy. And Christy Winkler is our project coordinator, with whom many of you have exchanged emails in preparation for today. I'd also like to recognize Tim Jansa, the business manager for World Languages and Cultures, and Faye Stewart, who is the incoming associate chair for World Languages and Cultures. Vicki Hanning, who might be outside, who is our administrative coordinator, who has helped kind of pull any other lingering detail together. Is Homa here? So the Office of International Initiatives has been key in helping with this event, especially on the social media end of things. And of course, Steve will get to know very well through the course of the event. Now, some of you have been to this event before, so you know what you're in for. Those of you who are new to this event, I like to frame this experience as a space of convergence. This is where people from different organizations, different backgrounds, fields come together to create what I like to think of as a symbiotic relationship, where we hear from each other about, well, needs for internships and what on the curriculum side we should be doing to meet the needs of business, and then policy that should be developed to kind of bring those other two fields together. So let's be thinking in those terms and think about the questions we should be asking ourselves and the questions we should be asking each other as we move forward. Now, if you're new to this event or you're new to culture, you may ask yourself, well, what is a Title VI National Foreign Language Center, Resource Center? We are one of 16 nationwide, and the only in the Southeast. These are unique centers that within Title VI, in the Department of Education, Title VI is the only piece of DOE that supports foreign language education. You have National Resource Centers, and Wolfgang and Tony Lemieux, the director of the Global Studies Institute, and I are on a steering committee to develop a Georgia State, Georgia Tech NRC consortium. We have the LRCs, Cybers, and Farah Bernardino was here. She is the managing director for the Cyber here on campus. So these are the different pieces of the Title VI universe: international business, national resource centers, language resource centers. Our center is charged with supporting language education in the K through 16 continuum. And this can happen in a number of ways. Often a Title VI language resource center will do summer teacher workshops, arrange materials, and things like that. What is unique about our center is that we have a very clear focus on access, outreach, and advocacy. And we feel, given our location, that is a key area that we should be thinking about. Now, the first grant highlights, of course, the signature events, the Global Languages Leadership Meeting, and I mentioned the World Languages Day. We've organized summer workshops for teachers every summer, and we've leveraged the Title VI grant to obtain other grants, such as the Start Talk grant, which is funded through the NSA. We've built partnerships, as you can see here, across a wide array of fields and disciplines, including many national and international organizations. In the next cycle of funding, when we met, I met with the CULTR team last fall as we began thinking of, well, what are the next 4 years going to look like? And I made a comment that we've honed an identity for ourselves within Title VI and within the higher education landscape that really bridges K through 12 and higher ed. And I don't even speak in those terms. I speak of a K through 16 continuum. And I said to the team, I put the challenge to the team that our duty now is to put a fine point on that identity and to really think of access and outreach and advocacy. So we've identified those 3 areas in addition to research, and especially research on access and advocacy and outreach. We think of where we're located and the kinds of students that are at GSU. And we think of GSU as a public university. And as a public university, it has a duty to be a public good. 60% of the students at GSU are on full-time Pell Grant. And so these are students who have high financial need. And so there's a lot at risk for them as they're pursuing their degrees. And they have these concerns about careers. If I take this class, how is it going to be useful? Well, if I study a language, what is it going to do for me? And I want to have answers for those students. We're less than a mile from the Martin Luther King Center. So we begin to think of language, culture, global skills. Sure, they make you career ready, but this, from my point of view, is a social justice issue. These are students, K through 16, in Georgia, in the state of Atlanta, that need these skills to be successful, to be competitive in a quote-unquote global market, and to become global citizens and to achieve everything that they can achieve. So in the area of access, we've been working with Dana and Brian Williams at the Crim Center about a DLI mapping the opportunity gap. A lot of what you hear about DLI is achievement gap. It closes the achievement gap, but where are the DLI schools and who has access to that level of education? And what can we do to remedy the situation where there are students who don't have access to dual language immersion? We've been talking with the Office of English Language Acquisition, who has recently developed a family toolkit for non-English speaking parents, about developing something similar for parents and families from lower socioeconomic backgrounds where they can have the language, the discourse, and the ability to advocate for themselves with principals and superintendents to demand language education at their schools, no matter what part of Atlanta they're located in. In the area of advocacy, I mentioned the global competency profiles. We've also been looking in the first cycle at teacher retention and reasons why teachers leave the profession. And it may or may not surprise you that teachers leave the teaching profession not because they don't know how to teach, not because of pedagogical reasons, but because of emotional reasons, affect. They feel isolated, they feel abandoned, they feel like they're on an island. And so we've been thinking, well, how can we create a sense of community among teachers where they feel supported by each other and by administration? So we've been talking with StoryCorps about creating a bank of short videos with specific prompts where teachers talk about their worst day, they talk about their best day, their first day. What would they tell themselves, their 20-year-old self, that they know now that they didn't know then? And then David is working on data analytics where we would make that a searchable database and you could look by location, language, years of service, any kind of tag you want to put on it. And so teachers could say, God, I had a rough day today. I wonder if there's something on the CULTR website that I could, in that information of that person, I could reach out to them and start to have the support system. We're talking with other universities and other cities about expanding our events like this or like World Languages Day to other areas of the country, working with Patrick Wallace at the Georgia DOE about developing a bank of best practices for DLI, giving support to teachers in dual language immersion, as well as foreign language, both on both sides of that coin. In the area of research, we've recently talked with Carla, that is at the University of Minnesota, about hosting the Second Language Education Research Conference here in Atlanta. They do it every 4 years. They're doing it in 2019, and we would host it in 2021. And this would be foreign language education, DLI, ESOL, and any kind of language education. And then we have other research projects that are ongoing that focus on student motivation, why a student studies Chinese as opposed to Spanish, and developing proficiency assessments. So we have a lot going on, and we have a very clear vision, but a friend of mine and people, somebody that I know, some of you in the room have said, he once told me, never mistake a clear vision for a short path. Greg knows who I'm talking about. And that's something that really rings true with me. And I don't think anything I've ever done in my professional career has ever been a short path. And I wouldn't really want it to be. But you may be asking yourself, well, God, this sounds great, but how can I help contribute to the impact of culture? And we have an answer for you. As we're gearing up for the next cycle of funding, I'll be reaching out to you all, not many of you, everybody, for letters of support. This is a key piece of our application to show the impact, to show the DOE why this is needed here. Don't worry, we'll give you a template that you can take and model. You don't have to write it all yourself. We would ask that you complete the survey. As I mentioned, this will lead into our competency survey, database, bank, repository, whatever you want to call it. And you could become an exhibitor or sponsor at World Languages Day. There's a list of sponsors and participating organizations in the booklet. We're happy to increase the number of sponsors that help us bring that event together. And as you see, we like to plan ahead, so we have the Fall World Languages Day event already mapped out. And this is an event where we bring employers, but there's an event that we came up with where I said, you know what, students don't listen to me. I'm the chair, I'm a professor. I say, you should study language. They're like, yeah, what else is he gonna say? I say, you know what, I need to take the middleman out, take myself out of the equation and bring an employer to campus to tell the students directly, we need you to study languages, we need you to study cultures because it's important, as we will hear from our keynote speaker, in our area of study, in our field, in our discipline, right? And it's been tremendously successful. We bring about 1,000 students or more to campus, and we're thinking of ways that we can increase that number, but still be within the fire marshal guidelines. I'm saying that officially on camera. But there's ways for you to join, come as an exhibitor. Many of you have organizations that have been exhibitors. It's free, and we give you lunch. So it's a great day. So as I mentioned, with World Languages Day, we've had CNN, CDC, Social Security Administration, Mercedes-Benz. There's a wide array. We even had the St. Regis Hotel. It's fascinating because the organizations will change year by year depending on who's available. But we have had amazing participation throughout the years. The other thing that you can do to support us is to stay connected. Connect with us on social media and be tweeting and be talking about us. Make us part of the conversation and reach out to us. And I'm sure if there's, if you have questions about other ways, other opportunities, we're happy to engage in a conversation. So I want to thank you all for attending today. I'm happy to see all of you, and I look forward to conversations, lively, engaged interactions. And now I'm going to wish you bon appetit, buen provecho, whatever language, please enjoy lunch and have great conversations. And we'll come back after lunch to introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you all very much.